You know, it's not often that you get one game a week, and you know, we've now had back-to-back where we've been able to add some offensive things and some defensive things, and I thought we handled that first week, you know, really well, leading up to the Tulsa game, and then you know, certainly this week's a little bit different because of the, you know, fact that guys had finals and schedule was kind of, you know, twisted and turned a little bit, and you know, there's a couple of days where we had some guys that were kind of seemed mentally exhausted from exams and stuff, but I thought they did a great job fighting through it mentally, and you know, everybody's looking forward to getting to Little Rock and playing there.
Excited to go to Little Rock for the first time?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you know, I said it the other day. My wife and I have been talking about just the uniqueness of you know, even though we know it's a neutral site game, so to speak, you know, on the schedule, but it's a you know, there's going to be a lot of Hog fans, obviously, so we're excited. It's unique. It's not many programs get a chance to, you know, to play in a different place in your state in a regular season game. So I think it's cool and unique, and we're all looking forward to it. The players are as well. And I've heard since I got the job about the excitement there and how important this game is to the program and to the entire state.
Yeah, this game's not on TV or even streaming. The arenas, I guess, have the capabilities. Were you aware of that? It's like old school. If you want to see the game, you got to buy a ticket and go to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's cool, you know, and you know, we expect a great turnout and an enthusiastic environment, and you know, it's like I said, the guys are excited about it too.
This is the first time I heard teams play Valparaiso. You know their coach, Matt Lodich, I think it's how you say it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him personally or anything, but certainly have really good respect for them and their program. And you look at Valpo from you know, for many years, it's been a really good program.
Well, hello. It's our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479. And we let you hear audio from head men's basketball coach Eric Musselman as he previewed tomorrow's ball game down in Little Rock as they travel down to take on Valparaiso. It's going to be a very, very festive environment as the women will be making their presence known throughout the Little Rock areas. They're going to take on the UALR Lady Trojans, and I think that's going to be a good one. They tip off at 1 o'clock in the Rock, and I mean, it's going to be a very, very, very festive environment. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to make it down, but I will try to have some updates on the Hill through some you know, other contacts that we have that'll be at the ball game. We'll bring you updates, but want to let everyone know our scheduling for the upcoming week will be, we will not be in the office past Monday. I think we're going to have a Christmas show on Monday and just finalize some things. We'll be back on January the 2nd. OTH, we're going to take a couple of days off to go enjoy the family. I'm going to be out with my family. I believe Demetrius will be out with his family as well. But we're going to continue on today as we're going to have Scotty Bordelin of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. He's on his way down to cover the Arkansas men's basketball game versus Valparaiso tomorrow evening. We'll catch up with Scotty and see, you know, just where things are. There's some good things happening with this team. We'll talk about Mason Jones. We'll talk about Isaiah Joe. People think Isaiah is in a slump. I don't think so, and we'll talk to Scotty about that. And then we're going to get back into National Signing Day for Coach Pittman. It came out yesterday. Demetrius, a big note that was made just to show you some of the Pittman effect, and we talked about this. Arkansas went from ranked 120 to 58 based on the 9 kids that they signed in this early signing class. That's pretty big time when you really delve off more into it, because we had one of our viewers said that, you know, he wasn't really impressed. And I don't think he meant that in any disrespect. I think based on the stars, but to go from 120 to 58, you see where I'm going? Sam's got 17 more scholarships in a full month to build a relationship with these high school young men. Once he gets his staff for him, and he let us know also too, look, I think we can look for that to be finalized, I think no later than Tuesday. Demetrius, where are you at? You know, 120 to 58. And then, you know, the environment that probably a lot of people are going to be around with this, you know, once in a lifetime deal with both the men's and women's playing down in the Little Rock area in the same particular day?
Yeah, to start with Sam Pittman, I said it would be great if Sam Pittman can really crack that top 30, before it's all said and done. That was where I had set my bar and expectations for the reputation that he has as a recruiter and as a coach. And I think that would be something to really get the fan base back on board, and the guys that are kind of topsy-turvy about Sam Pittman. I think they'll be more inclined to really show up and support this year coming up. I think they really need it, but I think they'll have a product on the field that people will be proud of.
Tony from Mayflower says hi, Demetrius. All the way from Mayflower. So, I mean, like I said, just the support that you guys have given us over the last, what do you think, Demetrius, over the last month and a half or so, how you've been so engaging with the show. We really appreciate that. We ain't heard from my guy, though, lately. You know who that is, T. Roy. We ain't heard from Mr. T. Roy in a couple of days.
Oh yeah, he'll pop on. He'll pop on here pretty soon. And chime in.
Matt Bounce says he's not happy. Tomorrow's game is not there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I don't understand that. I still remember the days when Arkansas had the Arkansas Razorback Network, and the games that weren't picked up by the SEC or the national media. What the in-state television company was always able to do, and that really does not bode well when you have a game such as Valparaiso, Arkansas men, Arkansas women, UALR. I think that's one of those games that you should make sure that the state of Arkansas has the option of watching, don't you think? I mean, this is something that's really, really, groundbreaking for this program and for the state of Arkansas as a whole.
I felt like at least the local channel should have picked it up. I feel like that's a worthy enough in-state event that really happens. Especially being the men and women's playing at the same time. So I do think the state of Arkansas kind of dropped the ball on that, being that there's no way they can really get 100% fan support having an in-state game like this.
Hey, Derek Conway said early signing period win as good as possible. I agree with him real quick before we get off on our next break and get some more conversation going into me. I really do. I think it went as good as to be expected. 9 days to garner a class, and each signed 9. So that's almost a kid per day, which is a pretty high rate. I think, like I said, Arkansas is already, as Sam mentioned in the press conference a couple of days ago when we had availability with Coach Pitt, they have 10 young men already committed to the very first weekend of that visitors can be allowed in the 2020 season to make their way to respective campuses. 10 already committed, and these are going to be high school kids. I think you'll see a big time shift in Arkansas's recruiting ranking, from now until that first Wednesday in February with this particular class. I think they're going to, you're going to see more flips, Demetrius. I really believe. But we'll step away, get us a real quick break. Also, too, Michael Harrell from Piggott, Arkansas. He's watching, Demetrius. I want to give Mike a shout out. Thanks for, making OTH a part of your Sports Talk Radio Day for all updates pertaining to high school football. Arkansas Razorback, SEC. That's just what we like to do here on the show. Real quick, when you look at this real quick, before we go to a quick break, Demetrius, the basketball conference, SEC is not as strong as some might have thought. Arkansas, with a few more confidence boosters, and they really can go on the road next week and get this victory at Indiana. You're talking about a team that I've always thought, and I'll continue to say, this is a team you're going to have to reckon with. They had some hard lessons, but they learned through those lessons as well. But we'll come back with much, much more. That's all coming up. But we caught up with Arkansas women's coach Mike Neighbors. Mike's want to tell you a little bit about their ball game coming up versus the UALR Lady Trojans. Big one throughout the state. A lot of recruiting implications. As far as this one's involving, long overdue. Something I think a lot of the women's basketball fans are really excited. We'll hear from Coach Neighbors, and then we'll be back with much, much, much more. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Good?
good coverage of their individual spots. Work on that.
Yeah. Try to be budget right now.
Everybody ready for Little Rock?
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's seems like a long time ago that Coach Foley and I were talking about it, so now it's fun that it's finally here. So I think it's a great thing for the state, a great thing for women's basketball. I know it's different for every single sport, but we needed to do it. It was a must for us, so I'm really glad that both people were able to get together and work it out.
Why is it a must?
I think we're such a small state, we can't do anything on a national level divided. I think we've got to stick together, especially in a sport like women's basketball. We've got to play these games that, I mean, they've been the best team in the state for a long time. And I'm not stupid enough not to realize that. I've been following women's basketball. They've been in the NCAA tournament. They've won games. Nobody wants to play Little Rock. Used to be ULR. In the tournament, nobody wanted to see them in their bracket. They've been to 6 or 7 of those things in the last 10 years. So it's a must game for us to play. And I think for people to see, there's a lot of young kids in Northwest Arkansas that have never seen them play. There's a lot of kids in that part of the state that have never seen us play. So for us to be able to get together, and we wanted to play a game in Little Rock. That was going to happen. We were going to get a Little Rock game done, but it wasn't necessarily going to be against them until the Board of Trustees and Hunter pushed that through. So I think it's a really good thing.
The style of play that they play, is it just completely opposite of what you're trying to do?
Well, it's impossible to prepare for, and we like to prepare for people. They run a motion, and he's not going to stand up and call a play the entire game. His kids are going to make plays, and that's really, really hard to prepare for. It's a lot of times why you see their teams start out 2 or 3 wins to 6 or 7 losses. It takes a while for them to figure it out. And then they always win 24 or 25 games, and they figure it out. So we're not going to fall for the old banana in the tailpipe trick and fall for their record to be an indicator, but they're going to take the first good shot they get. Sometimes it just takes them a while to do it. They make you defend, and that grinds on you. So clash of styles. I'll be up calling a lot of actions. He'll be sitting there not. But there's lots of ways to win at this game. His has been very successful, but it's fun to see the two styles match up.
You know, it's not on campus, so I assume you don't expect anything like that insane thing with Arkansas State several years ago where Susie Gardner walked into a hornet's nest and they were horrified.
Yeah, it can happen. I think it's going to be about 50-50 just based on the fans from up here that I've talked to, the number of ticket requests I have. So, we wanted it to be, if we were going to play them, it needed to be a neutral site game to get it started. I don't think either one of us felt like going into each other's home gym to start the thing was a good idea. So it was great that we were able to get it to Simmons. And then just a bonus that it's kind of
Welcome back. It's the A edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Friday edition, and want everyone to that are listening, all of our listeners that are tuned in, local Fayetteville High Bulldog fans, want to let everybody know we're going to do our initial boys basketball broadcast as we kick off the 1920 boys basketball schedule. As we'll be, 1920. 2019-2020 basketball session. My producer, he's keeping me straight. I'm telling you, I say 1920. I would assume, but we'll make it more to people's liking. 2019-2020 basketball season. That's myself and my color analyst, Jared Fraley. Jared. He's a guy on the sideline with us. We'll be making our way as the Fayetteville Bulldogs are going to be taking on the Conway Wampus Cats. Broadcast airs at 7:00 p.m. tip-off from Conway Wampus Cat Arena, where the Bulldogs and under Coach Brad Stemps will be trying to get a big win tonight. So if you want to tune in, you can catch that broadcast. That's FM 106.1 Red Dirt Radio for all Bulldogs coverage of myself and Jared Praley throughout the season. Now, it's only tonight. We'll be back in our initial scheduled broadcast June the 7th as the Bulldogs January 7th. I'm off today. I'm telling you. It's just been such a crazy week with coaching, signing day. I don't know. Sometimes you got to be off your A game. That's why I got you. As next man up when I'm not on the field doing right. You just pull me off to the side. Then you step up into the under center and do what needs to be done, keeping me all straightened out. But Demetrius, what you got planned for the holidays, man? what you got planned for this weekend outside of, taking a few precious hours out of your weekend to push a few buttons for me tonight?
Man, man, you hit it right on the head. I'm pressing a couple of buttons for you, dude. I'll just probably relax. I like to work, so I'll probably go to my other little jobs, make a couple of dollars. So,
hey, you put out a pretty good video as you do some of that stuff. As we're, just going to talk about what we do sometimes, in our free time. But before we have on the Dem Gaz's Scotty Borderland, you did a video of some young basketball players. Tell the listeners about, what that video entailed. And for those that want you to do more graphic or video work, how can they reach out to you?
Really shout out to Antonio Cotton. He had the fifth and sixth grade All-Star game last week. Was it 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago at the University of Arkansas Hyper Building. It was a great turnout. I was glad to see the youngsters and the potential that they had. They're going to be amazing. It's amazing talent in Northwest Arkansas. I was really surprised how advanced these younger kids are.
I'm talking about can hoop.
And then not only did they have the All-Star game, they ended up going to the University of Arkansas game. And I think it was just a great experience for a diverse group of kids. It wasn't just black. It wasn't just white. It was a diverse. It was a mixture. Hispanics. It was just great to see a group of kids go out and enjoy and do what they do, and then experience it on a collegiate level. So shout out to Antonio Cotton for putting that on.
He does, and Antonio does a great job. As we get out, you and I both have had a chance to get out and officiate our local youth. As I'm a long-time official in the area and have had a chance to see a lot of these basketball players, in particular, a lot of these kids that I get the privilege of calling their basketball games, not only at Fayetteville but throughout the state at particular high schools. And I agree with you. There's a lot of talent in all sports in the state of Arkansas, and it's only going to get more and more coverage. You'll see more Power 5 schools come in as these kids continue to play at a high level. And I think, with all the travel, baseball, track, football, basketball, with so much going on, that's only helping these kids. You can never have enough practice on the craft that you're trying to master, in my beliefs. But Michael Harrell from Piggott, I gave you a shout out. James Shell from Berryville, Arkansas. He's also viewing today's program. I want to say thanks for taking time out, making OTH part of your day as well, James. We really do appreciate having you on here as well. But I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. How big do you think tomorrow is? How bad do you think those games are going to be? And who has more? Okay, let me say, in the girls' game, who has more to lose? Or is it one of those games, UAL Arkansas's women? UALR's women have been so much better, than Arkansas prior to Coach Neighbors coming. Is this a game that really doesn't matter? Or who has more to lose in that game? I think Arkansas has more to gain, seeing as how they're the program, really, when you do look at it, seems like the one on the rise and has been down the longest. Joe Foley does a great job with those girls.
I think that's just one of those games that's up for the taking. I think it's big for both programs, for ULAR to, go against a Division I major SEC school, and not only that, for Arkansas to go against a good program that they can get a good test as far as where they are. Competition level can be up to par. So going into SEC play next semester, they'll be up.
Momentarily, we're going to take a real quick break here, and then when we come back, we're going to have Scotty Borderland of the Dem Gas. He'll be joining us to talk Must Bus, and some of the keys that he'll be looking forward to in tomorrow night's ball game versus Valparaiso. And also, we'll take a look back at some of the key players. We all know about Mason Jones, but who are some of the other players that are really standing out, even when you, as a fan, don't seem to think that they're having a type of season that you'd like them to have? I think Isaiah Joe is just due for a breakout ball game from behind the arc. And I think this team, when they get Demetrius into that late February, early January, I think you're going to see a team that's running on all cylinders. It's going to be a tough out as we get deeper and deeper into the basketball season. Oh, hold on. We got another shout out. Larry Brown from Osceola, Arkansas.
Yeah.
LB.
Eastside.
Thanks for tuning in, my man. Any questions, you guys shoot them at us. Man, people are just all over the state, Demetrius. Man, that's big.
But to go comment on the men's basketball team, I think that's the weak link right now. And I won't even say weak link because they just put up 90-something points. So I can't even say offense is really their weakness right now because I think Musselman hasn't built to that. They can compete and win any type of game.
Right.
If you need them to score, okay, we can run up the score.
Right.
If you need us to have a low scoring ball game where we have to play lockdown defense, I think we can get that. The only game that I don't think they have is just a really inside paint game where they can dish it inside and really beat them up off the boards. And I think once they get that, I mean, it's really going to be tough. And I think, again, once Jamario Bell gets into that basketball shape and he understands the concepts and the philosophies that Eric Musselman really wants to incorporate going into SEC play, I think they're going to be a tremendous ball club and they're going to be a tough team to handle once SEC play kicks off.
Yeah, totally. SEC's wide open. I mean, just a couple of days ago, East Tennessee State went into Baton Rouge and handled them, with not a lot of resistance. Kentucky's a team that's already lost to two teams that you would not assume, with that being Utah and Evansville on their home floor. You would never assume those two to go in the rup and do what they've done. Tennessee has taken a couple of losses. When you look up the two best records in the SEC, Auburn, with having lost what they had leave the campus last year after their magical run, I believe, in the NCAA tournament, to be able to come back and be an undefeated ball club, and Arkansas at 9-1 with a team that they could have been a 23-win team. Coach gets let go. They come back and they're sitting at 9-1, with a lot of momentum. It's just going to be a very, very interesting. I know if for those consistent listeners have probably heard here on OTH, us always talk about parity, within this conference. But real quick, we got a quick question, Demetrius, from Larry Brown. I believe Larry Brown is from Osceola. And he has a real good question. Any word on Tim Horton returning as running backs coach? There is a rumor out there. I've checked with some sources. Adam Sparks of my Vanderbilt scoop beat writer, and hadn't got any word. But Tim Horton's name, I know he's a running back coach there at Vanderbilt. Still no word on if he's going to be returning. I still think, when you're in the situation that Sam Pittman is, and you're the type of person that is so likable and a guy that people want to work for, you've got your options. So I think where all the pieces will fall into place here on Tuesday. But let's get a quick break, and then let's get on and talk a little bit with Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Dim Gas. It's our Friday edition of the A on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
So transition defense will be very important for us as well.
I think they played Monday night and Wednesday night. So now they have to travel. Do you think you have an advantage because you've been able to practice all week, or do you think maybe they have a little bit of advantage because they had a couple games?
Yeah, I always think that's like after the game, you can spin it however you want after the game. I think it's good for Valpo that they've kind of been in the same rhythm and routine, and since I've been in college, just this exam week is it's just kind of challenging for everybody. Like I said, practice time changes, and one of our guys wasn't here today because he's still taking an exam, and so it's just a little bit throws you off a little bit.
I guess I wasn't smart enough to know.
Ty still had a test. Yeah.
Next week, just kind of how do you handle getting them on time, which was plus getting ready for the deal.
Welcome back. It's our Friday edition. It's our A edition of OTH here on KDSJ 479. Real quick before we get to our special guest, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, that being Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, anything residential, commercial, exterior, contact Corey Beck and you will not be disappointed. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. That's at 989 Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love. And like they say up on the buildings, not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But we're going to move on down the 501 as the Arkansas Razorbacks will be making their way to the north, to the Little Rock area, and all those Central Arkansas fans will get a chance to see the Must Bus. And we know a guy that's heading down there, too, to cover the Must Bus, and we have him on here all the time. It's our good buddy of the Arkansas Dim Gas, Scotty B. Scotty, welcome to OTH, my man.
Thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going all right, man. You have put out some very interesting articles about this Eric Musselman Razorback basketball team, 10 games in. Scotty, talk about some of the things that when you initially heard from Eric Musselman, some of his philosophies that we had a chance to talk with in our one-on-one leading into this season, that really have stuck with you, that you can kind of say, hey, I mean, he did mention this early before the season started.
Yeah, I think the thing that really stands out is that his teams in the past have always prided themselves on effort, energy, and enthusiasm, and these guys have, for the most part, played with a ton of energy. I mean, we saw that really early in the season, particularly on the defensive end. I think Arkansas still ranks in the top 5 nationally in defending the 3, and I think they're top 15 or top 20 in forcing turnovers as a defense too. So you're seeing some good energy on the defensive end, and after a couple games where it felt like it maybe slipped a little bit, we saw that against Tulsa, turned 13 turnovers, which is below their average. About 6 below their average, but they turned those into 23 points, plus 17 or 18 in fast break points. So that's a pretty good indicator of good energy. They're playing with a ton of energy, and hopefully, we'll see this team, click a little bit more efficiently on the other end too.
The one thing I've noticed about this ball club when we're at Bud Walton, Nola Richardson Court is this team has a really good ability to keep the ball moving. They're making the extra pass, and you hear Coach Musselman stress, how many passes they want to make per game. I mean, they pretty much achieved that, and sometimes went over. And if they hadn't achieved it, not too much under. Talk about the way that they're spacing, something that they weren't, really good at last year. And basically, I think it was more so because they were so young. Talk about that aspect of their game, of this team to this point, Scotty.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed with this team is there's not really a ball stopper on the roster where you send a guy out on the floor and the ball gets swung over to him and he's just going to dribble the air out of the ball and try to create something for himself all the time. There's just not one of those guys on the team. All the guys that you see Musselman put out on the floor are pretty selfless. They're always looking to either create or looking for others. And it's more than one guy doing it too. Like Jimmy Witt's been terrific, freelancing for scores himself, but he's a pretty unselfish guy. And Mason Jones and Isaiah Joe obviously are Arkansas's best scorers, best shooters. But I mean, we've seen games where their assist numbers are at 4, 5, and 6, and I think it also has to do with just the lineup that Arkansas is playing.
Right.
There's no like real inside presence, to dump the ball down to, and it's a lot more guard oriented, which I think is going to lead to just more assists and sharing the ball a lot better.
When you look at Mason Jones, I mean, this is a guy that came in, with not a lot of hype last year. His first year here at Arkansas was really an inconsistent player. You knew he could score, but really buying in onto the defensive end was one of the main issues with Mason. Different type of Jones this year. I mean, the guy is real tenacious defensively. Talk about this team and how well they are playing defense. I mean, we look at the stats, you see where they're ranked nationally, but when you see it in person, I mean, this is a very passionate defensive team as opposed to last year, Scotty. This was a shoot first, defend second team. I mean, that's got to be pretty impressive for what Coach Musselman and this staff have been able to get these kids to buy in, which is the defensive side.
Yeah, for sure. I think this team understands that their offense is going to be predicated off of their defense, and anytime that they could, play passing lanes and get their hands on loose balls, corral 50-50 balls, and turn it into transition opportunities, I think that's what they obviously want to do. This team's been really good defensively for the most part, outside of some lapses maybe against Tulsa. Tulsa, scored on the interior maybe a little bit easier than Musselman would have liked. But Tulsa felt like they had a little bit of an advantage there. Defensively they're good. They're holding the 3-point line down. For the first, I think, about month of the season, I think The most threes anyone hit on them was like 3 or 4.
Right.
And so they're defending the perimeter pretty well. Yeah, just all it goes back to, sometimes the offense isn't always clicking, but you can always play really good defense, and sometimes you could be, opportunistic and turn that into some easy points.
Gentile still is if there's one offensive guy that you look at and say, man, I mean, he's got to have a game where he just breaks out of this incredible slump. We saw, film when he was at his previous stop before transferring into Arkansas, and the one thing that stood out was his ability to score the basketball. When we've had the media availability and that question has been posed to Coach Muss, do you, in your opinion, when do you think JC is going to break out of this slump? And, what do you think it is in particular, if you can put your finger on it, Scotty, that's, got him in such a funk?
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I don't know what it is, and I think we've asked Muss a couple of times just what's going on with Scylla. So I talked to him over the summer. He's a guy that's probably got the most experience on the roster outside of Jimmy Witt,
right.
Being a grad transfer. And he was a key part of that UNC Wilmington team last year. Averaged double figures. It was an okay rebounder. I remember talking to. I remember just kind of emailing back and forth with some guys in North Carolina who covered him, and they said he was an okay defender. He could be, an inefficient scorer sometimes. I think we've seen that a little bit. I think he's only made one shot outside of the paint this year. I think that was a corner 3 in one of the early games. So he hasn't really showed that he can stretch the floor since. And one other thing that I've noticed is he doesn't have an assist yet. Which I don't know. He hasn't gotten just a whole lot of opportunity, just a whole lot of run lately. So maybe if he does get some more minutes, that could change. But I think maybe right now he's just maybe battling with some confidence issues, and maybe making the jump from the whatever conference he played in. I think it was the Colonial, the A-Sun. Maybe that's been a bit more of a challenge than he expected.
Good point. Well, man, real quick, we got about a minute and a half left. Want everyone to know that have just tuned in. We're talking with Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Scotty covers all Razorback basketball, and the bus for us here on OTH. But if there's an offensive player that you're going to be looking at as a player of the game in tomorrow 7 p.m. tip-off versus Valparaiso, who's that player going to be, Scotty, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Isaiah Joe. He's been shooting the ball, I think, at about a 35% clip this month, which is up from, I think, what he shot in November. And over the last 2 games, he's about 38% on 24 attempts, which anytime you're about 40% on a pretty good number of attempts, that's a pretty good sign. He's progressively scored better each game this month. He had 16, 18, and then 20 last weekend. And, he shot the ball well from 3 in North Little Rock last year. I think he was 5 of 6 from 3. So, and he's coming up on a pretty big benchmark. I think maybe he can jump into the top 10 in terms of career 3-pointers made.
Right.
I think if he hits 6, I don't know if he'll get 6 on Saturday against Valpo, but we've seen him definitely go for 6 in games before, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did. So I'll probably go with Isaiah. I figure he'll have a pretty good day.
You can't go wrong. That's a pretty good guy to go with. But, hey, have a safe trip, my man. Unfortunately, I have some obligations that won't allow me to be at the gymnasium tomorrow night, or for the girls' game for that matter either. Y'all got a smorgasbord of basketball going on in the Central Arkansas area, and I'm really jealous. But, man, you do a great job. I'll look forward to your in-game coverage. And, Scotty, have a safe trip, and thanks for taking time out here on OTH, my man.
I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
That was the Arkansas Demgaz and Scotty Borderland giving us the Muss Bus update. We're going to step away and let you hear. I don't know which coach. Might be Muss, might be Neighbors. We might put it all together and let you just hear a little piece of all of them. And then when we come back, we're going to recap the Pit Hogs. His first national signing. He got 9, but he has a chance for more. We're going to talk with our good buddy at Paulville.net's Otis Kirk. Time to talk a little football recruiting. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a minute.
Hopefully that won't be a factor, but definitely don't want to walk into what they walked into. I think it was Arkansas State, wasn't it, if I remember correctly, in Jonesboro on the NIT. So hopefully it'll be a more split crowd.
Anything you need to see before conference play that you're getting closer towards your team?
Well, we need to see our, IT's back full speed now, I think. I think she'd tell you that she feels 100%. Kiera's not quite back 100% yet, so I'd like to get her, some more game reps. Again, another contrast style of play. That's always what you hope going into SEC, that you have challenged your team for every possible style of play, every potential defensive matchup. Hopefully there's some film that you've done in the non-conference that you can show them evidence of how you need to go. So this week's about managing the week, the tests, the lead up, the travel. You're packing your bags. I think all but about 6 of us are leaving from Little Rock to go home for the holidays. So, you got kids worried about, do they have everything packed for that? So a lot of that's managing this week of being in finals and being heading into the holidays. Historically, we've not done a very good job of it. Last 2 years, we've not played well in this game, so hopefully we've learned something from the past.
You see this as helping recruiting to play down there?
Yeah, just the talk of it for the last year's helped us in that area. It was a legitimate reason. It wasn't an excuse for kids in that part of the state to feel like their parents wouldn't get a chance to see them play locally. So that was a real reason. So we needed to take that away from those kids in that part of the state. There's 2 SEC schools closer to them than to us geographically.
Welcome back. It's the A edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. And Arkansas's head hog, the pit boss, Sam Pittman, had his first National Early Signing Day this past Wednesday. He got 9 of them. And what to me is a very impressive class when you consider the circumstances and the time in which he had to put this together. So we thought we'd get together with a guy that I know works his tail off. He's one of the best in the business, putting out all the up-to-date information. My good friend, and like I said, he's the guru, the GOAT in this business, Hallville.net's Otis Kirk. Otis, welcome to OTH, my man.
Hey, Pat, what's going on, man? I'm just sitting here working and watching a little bit of football. Yeah, working football. That's what I do, man.
There's 2 real interesting prospects on that football game that you were watching. As I caught a glimpse of it, a couple little pieces before I came in here to the studio, with that being Carthage, Kelvonte Dixon, and Tykees Crawford, 2 former Razorbacks that were committed, since have decommitted. Sam Pittman in the early signing day on Wednesday came out with, we knew of the 3 kids in state, but he got 6 others that, a lot of people didn't see him being able to corral. Talk about it, Sam and the staff that he, the little staff that he has, the ability, the job that they were able to accomplish in such a short amount of time to get what they had, which I mean, these are some pretty impressive kids, aren't they, Otis?
Oh, yeah. He came in 4 days, spent 4 days on the road, really, and really more like 3 and a few hours, because Monday he had that press conference Monday evening, and then went out that night and saw Jashad Stewart. So, yeah, I mean, really 3 days they spent on the road and got a lot accomplished, and he got 4. I heard you said he signed 9 players. He's got 4 coming in at midterm. Right. So that's huge. Nearly half of those are going to be here for spring ball. Julius Coates, Miles Slusher, Lane Toe, and then, of course, the linebacker, Keelan Burley out of Louisiana. So, I mean, that's some good recruiting, and you get some instant help to boot. And, yeah, I was impressed with what they were able to do. I mean, obviously there's still some needs, but I do look at what they're doing and, and trying to do, and I think you'll get a lot of it done in January. I mean, yeah, January and February, and then the late signing period in February.
Got up on Wednesday morning, and like we said, we knew that Arkansas was going to get Blaine Toll, Contrell Wallace, and Jashad Stewart. The surprises start happening early that morning with Dominique Johnson, 6'1", 220-pound running back out of Crowley, Texas, flipping from Missouri to Arkansas. And then came the one that no one seen coming, because the 2 early surprises were from kids that had not made their way to the university to take an official visit. The second one being Kellen Burley, who on film, this kid jumps out, and so does the running back. Talk about those two, and like I said, that has to show the ability that this staff, recruiting-wise, can do to get kids to flip sight unseen.
Well, it helped, that Barry Odom and they had some ties to Dominic from Missouri, same way with Ray Curry Jr., Brad Davis and Barry Odom, and, they had some ties there, and so that helped. And it was just, man, it's just amazing. To go out here and pull in kids that haven't even ever seen the campus. I mean, that's what's impressive. You go get guys like Dominic Johnson, Kellen Burley, Julius Coates, kids that haven't been on campus. I mean, Ray Curry had visited, and of course, the three in-state kids, Blaine's almost taken an official visit, but he's been here. All three of those kids have been here numerous times. And, they're going to, and then Slusher was here Slusher and Curry were here last weekend. So, but yeah, it's especially you go pull, I tell you, Coates impressed the heck out of me. I mean, that's a kid that you and I talked about before out there when we were waiting on practice to start. You and I have talked about Coates and a few times. In fact, he called you one day when we were out there getting ready, right before we went on the field. He called you. So I mean, yeah, to get a kid of that stature who visited Nebraska and Oregon the past 2 weekends and was committed to Colorado. I know he decommitted, but he was committed to Colorado. Then he visited Nebraska and Oregon the past 2 weekends, and then to come in and come to Arkansas, that's what putting a lot of trust in the system, and that's what Sam and by all accounts Barry Odom and these rest of the staff can sell, because we know Sam. We haven't had the luxury of being around Barry Odom and stuff, but all accounts, he's somebody that's pretty upfront and open to kids. It speaks volumes that he and Brad Davis, that Ray Curry thought that much of him to come here, because I'm telling you, if there's a kid in this class, and I could make a case for more than one, but if there's a kid in this class who is vastly underrated, it's Ray Curry Jr.
I agree.
I don't keep up with the star rankings as much as I did when I worked for one of those networks. I know if they're 3 or 4 or what, but I looked at his grade, and it's ridiculous. He's got 24, 25 offers. This kid is 6'6", 315, Pat.
Right.
If he's an 80, if he's a low or mid 3-star, I give up, because I don't know what they're looking. Because I'm telling you, 24, 25 Division I colleges, Power 5 schools think differently, and I'll take their word for it. And he's the one. I can make a case for Coates and the in-state kids and stuff like that, but I just was shocked when I saw Curry. One thing, you look at the offer list and then you look at his rankings, they don't match up.
Right.
Either the colleges don't know what they're doing or the recruiting service. I'm not going to say, I shouldn't say they don't know what they're doing. I'm not going to say it, but somebody, usually when you see offers or for a kid ready where Curry was, then the offer list is probably not that impressive. But when you see an offer list like that and then see him rated that low, I don't get it. And I'm not going to say they don't know what they're doing. I take that back, but I'm just making a point that something's not adding up there. 2 and 2 is not 4 in that case, I guess.
Yeah, which leads into my next question. With so many kids, top prospects around the country that had been previously committed to particular schools. Now, a guy like an Ashad Clayton has said he's not going to sign early. Cedric Van Pran, nation's number 1 rated center, that was previously committed to Georgia, and Coach Pittman did not sign early. And multiple kids. Coach P told us in the press conference on Wednesday that they already have 10 committed official visitors. The first weekend that college programs can allow students to be back on campus for those officials. But, when you look at what going forward, 17 scholarships available, as he also made known he could sign 25. Who are going to be some of the names that we really need to keep an eye out on? I know Savion Morrison is another name that came out. I think he was offered by a big-time program yesterday, if I'm correct. But, there's going to be a lot of big fish out there that Sam and that staff are going to go try to go after. But Otis, just give us a few names that people that view our program might need to keep an eye out on from some of your articles.
Yeah, well, today I wrote one on where they're at right now in recruiting and what to look forward to, and I took a look ahead, and I hit on exactly that. I went position by position, and there's some guys like Marcus Henderson, an offensive lineman at Memphis. You've got Jalen St. John up in St. Louis, an offensive lineman. Robert Scott from Conway. Montre Edwards is a defensive lineman out of Mississippi,
right?
Out of Holmes County Central High School that's coming in on that weekend you were talking about. And then I tell you, I'm not aware. I don't think Dwight McLaughlin has the cornerback out of Spring, Texas that you and I both love. He and Nick Turner, the defensive back out of Brother Martin. I don't think either one of those kids are signing early.
Right.
Those are two kids that those are the type that come and play. I'll tell you a kid that I know very well is Kerry Johnson out of Connecticut.
Right.
Suffield Academy up in Connecticut. And his name was given to the Arkansas coaches, and he was offered a few hours later.
Right.
And so that's a kid that I really like. He was that one that I don't remember if it was the Mississippi State or the Western Kentucky game, but he was there. He stayed the entire game, and he walked right by me after the game. So I remember seeing him there. And, he's very interested in Arkansas. And for people who says his offer list is not that good, Pat, let me tell you, Boston College changed coaches. I'm telling you, when this signing day ends today,
right?
What schools start coming in on him just like Arkansas did? Because schools that need a cornerback and didn't get what they wanted early, watch his offer list start to really pick up. And it's not just Kerry Johnson, but there's going to be kids like that, and just watch them. That offer list is going to start to grow, and it will be some impressive schools.
Hey, Otis, as always, my man. I know you got to get back to doing what you do. This is when it really gets good for you. Christmas and recruiting, they just go hand in hand. It just always picks up. But my man, thanks for taking time out on the hill, and you have a blessed weekend, my brother.
Okay, thanks, man. I'll talk to you later. See you, Pat.
That was Otis Kirk of Hallville.net. Giving us the 411 on all the recruiting roundup as Sam Pittman and the staff came up with a pretty impressive 9-man signing class early. Like I said, got a lot of kids. Kellen Burley as a young man out of Harvey, Louisiana. Ray Curry, got him to flip from Missouri to the University of Arkansas. Dominique Johnson, same there too. 6'1", 221 running back out of Crawley, Texas. He also flipped from Missouri. Miles Slusher, 6 foot 181, Broken Arrow, flips from Oregon to Arkansas. Gishad Stewart, Blaine Toling, and Cottrell. We all know these guys love the Razorbacks, and they're going to, leave it on the football field each and every Saturday here in the SEC. But that's going to round it out today. Want to give a shout out to our guest, Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, for coming on and talking Must Bus, and then our good buddy Otis Kirk of Hallville.net. He told us just how he thought Sam Pittman and the staff did, and the what to look forward to in the future. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and lastly, the one I'm real fond of, KDK's Chicken. That's at 989 South Razorback Road. Get down there and see Kathy. Get a plate of that love, and like they say, it's not your mama's. Best chicken and waffles in the South. But for also everyone that's tuned in and chimed in and all week and giving us your thoughts and comments, I want to say thank you for being a part of OTH this week. Now, Monday will be our last show. We will have a recap, but we will be out of the studio. And some of our better shows, we got a lot that we had on throughout the 2019 season. We'll just reach back and you'll see a lot of the better ones we've had, and some of the ones Demetrius and I are fond of during our break. But Monday will be our last show until we reconvene in 2020. But tonight, I want to let everyone know before we get out of here, we will be broadcasting the Fayetteville High Bulldogs as they travel to Conway to take on the Conway Wampus Cats in a big-time holiday tournament. We'll be on air on FM 106.1 Red Dirt Radio Tip-off, 7 p.m. You can hear myself and my counterpart, Jarrett Fraley. If you want to continue to sponsor our show, either one, Fayetteville High Broadcast or us here on OTH, you can contact us at onthehillpatj@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, On the Hill Sports Talk, or our YouTube Live, or On the Hill Sports Talk LLC, or you can also reach us on our cell phone, 479-601-7400. But until we get back on Monday, it's been a great week. It's been a great A. I want to give from our producer, Demetrius Johnson, to you all. Have a blessed weekend. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.